My wife texted, "I've taken our son. Don't try to find us. All communication through my lawyer." I replied, "Understood." Then I immediately filed an emergency custody order and alerted the authorities with proof of her instability. 72 hours later, her lawyer was frantically calling to negotiate. I, 38 male, stared at my phone, the words blurring. I just finished a quarterly budget meeting, brain still full of spreadsheets and projections. Then, the notification from Alexis, my wife. "Alexis, I've taken Bobby. We're safe. Don't try to find us. All communication through my lawyer from now on. Her details will follow." My blood ran cold. Bobby, our 5-year-old boy, gone. No warning. No big fight that morning. Just this. My fingers trembled. My reply was almost automatic. Calm. Cold even. Me. Understood. Then I moved, fast. My first call was to Mr. Russell, my solicitor. Had him on retainer since Alexis's behavior started getting unpredictable a year ago. "She's done it, Mr. Russell," I said, my voice flat. "She's taken Bobby." He didn't miss a beat. "Right, I'm filing an emergency custody order. Now. You have the dossier?" "Everything. Updated last week." The dossier. Sounds dramatic, I know, but Alexis, she hadn't been herself for a while. Mood swings that were terrifying, paranoid accusations, impulsive spending sprees followed by days of not leaving her bed. I'd been documenting it all. Voice memos of her rants, recorded legally in my own home, mind you. Emails, texts, a journal of incidents with dates and times. Photos of, well, let's just say concerning situations she'd created. I'd even managed to get her to a psychiatrist once, who had expressed concerns about potential bipolar disorder with possible paranoid delusions, though Alexis refused any follow-up or medication. I had a copy of that initial consult report, which she'd actually left lying around. It all went into the dossier. My biggest fear was always her doing something impulsive involving Bobby. While Mr. Russell got the court papers drafted, I called the police. Reported Bobby as a missing child, potentially taken by a parent suffering a mental health crisis. Emailed them a summary of the situation and copies of the most damning evidence of her instability, including her text. They were surprisingly quick to take it seriously. Maybe the calm, factual way I presented it helped. No hysterics, just facts. The house felt like a tomb. Bobby's little blue jacket was still on the hook by the door, his half-finished Lego spaceship on the living room floor. A wave of something, grief, rage, sheer terror, hit me then. I actually doubled over, hands on my knees. For Bobby. Stay calm for Bobby. This wasn't just a betrayal, this was a declaration of war, and I was damn well going to fight it, strategically, methodically. Update. 3 days later. Okay, Reddit, so the last 72 hours have been the longest of my life. Haven't really slept. Coffee's my new best friend. Mr. Russell was a rock star. Emergency order was filed within hours of Alexis's text. Police issued an alert. The dossier did its job. They saw the pattern of escalating instability. Every phone ring made my heart leap. Was it news? Was it Alexis trying to bypass lawyers? Her sister Kayla called me screaming late Tuesday night. Accused me of driving Alexis to this, of being controlling, lol irony, of trying to paint Alexis as crazy, standard stuff from an enabler. I just said, "Kayla, Alexis abducted my son. The police are involved. I suggest she gets a very good lawyer very quickly." Click. No energy for that drama. The police found them yesterday evening, about 200 miles away in some cheap motel. Bobby was physically okay, thank God, confused, scared, but okay. They said Alexis was agitated. Not surprised. Bobby was placed in temporary emergency care while the police sorted jurisdiction and the emergency order was served. This morning my phone rang. Unknown number. "Mr. my last name?" A female voice sounded stressed. "This is Miss Leslie. I'm representing Alexis. She's retained me regarding the custody of your son, Bobby. So the lawyer details she promised." "Okay," I said, keeping my voice even. "Look," Miss Leslie rushed on, "Alexis is obviously very distressed. She wants to see her son. We need to work something out. She's willing to discuss shared access, mediation." I waited, let the silence stretch. Miss Leslie," I said, my tone like ice, "your client unilaterally abducted my child after sending a threatening text message indicating her intent to sever all contact. She is documented as being unstable. The police have already recovered Bobby. An emergency custody order is in place, granting me temporary sole custody. You should have received it by now." More silence, then a sigh. "Yes, we have that." But surely you understand this has all been a terrible misunderstanding. Alexis felt backed into a corner. A misunderstanding that involved crossing state lines with a minor and cutting off all contact? Fascinating. Miss Leslie cleared her throat. My client is prepared to be reasonable. She just wants what's best for Bobby. What's best for Bobby is stability and safety, which your client has catastrophically undermined, I replied. There will be no negotiation about Bobby's immediate return to my care, as per the court order. Once he is home and settled, we can discuss supervised visitation for Alexis, pending a full psychological evaluation for her. And that, Miss Leslie, is my opening and closing offer for today. I could almost hear her jaw drop. But that's the reality of the situation your client created, Miss Leslie. Have Alexis comply fully with the authorities. I expect Bobby home today. Goodbye. I hung up. Felt good. No. Felt right. Mr. Russell called a few minutes later. Miss Leslie had apparently called him immediately after, spluttering about my unreasonable demands. He just reiterated my position. The ball is in their court. They can comply, or Alexis can make things infinitely worse for herself. Waiting for the call to go pick up my boy. God, I miss him. Update. 1 week after initial post, Bobby is home. Picked him up late the day of my last update. He was quiet, clung to me like a limpet. Asked a few times why Mommy was sad and why the police came. Broke my damn heart. I just told him Mommy wasn't feeling well, and we all just want her to get better. Kept it simple. He's sleeping in my room for now. Nightmares. The emergency hearing was yesterday. Miss Leslie tried her best to paint Alexis as a desperate mother fleeing a toxic environment, aka me apparently. Mr. Russell just calmly presented the facts, the text, the abduction, the history of documented instability. Alexis was there. She looked rough, kept trying to catch my eye, alternating between looking tearful and furious. I didn't engage, focused on the judge. The judge wasn't impressed with Miss Leslie's narrative. The evidence of Alexis taking Bobby and the prior concerns about her mental state were too strong. He upheld the emergency order. Temporary sole legal and physical custody to me. Alexis was granted 1 supervised 2-hour visit per week at a designated facility, contingent on her not causing any scene. A guardian ad litem was appointed for Bobby. Big win. But the games have escalated. Alexis's mother, Lori, has now started a lovely campaign on social media. Vague posts about parental alienation and a mother's love being weaponized. Some of our mutual acquaintances are lapping it up, sending me concerned messages or outright hostile ones. Blocked a fair few numbers. Lori even had the nerve to call me, wailing about how I was destroying her daughter and keeping her from her grandbaby. Lori, I said, tired. Alexis is destroying herself. She abducted Bobby. That has consequences. I'm following the court's orders. If Alexis wants to see Bobby more, she needs to follow the court's orders too and get the help she clearly needs. She called me a monster and hung up. Charming. Kayla, Alexis's sister, ambushed me at the grocery store, caused a bit of a scene, shouting about how I was a manipulative bastard. I just paid for my stuff and walked out. Security escorted her out, got it on my dashcam for good measure. Every little bit of crazy helps my case. Alexis herself, during her first supervised visit, apparently spent half the time crying about how unfair this all was, and the other half trying to tell Bobby that Daddy was keeping them apart because he was mean. The supervisor noted it all down. Good. Miss Leslie has been sending feelers about mediation again. Mr. Russell is firm. Full psych eval for Alexis, proof of compliance with treatment, and a significant period of stability before we even discuss changes to the current supervised setup. It's draining, NGL. Sometimes late at night, I just sit in Bobby's room watching him sleep, and the enormity of it hits me. The trust Alexis shattered. The fact she put Bobby through this. But then morning comes, Bobby smiles, and I know I'm doing the right thing. This isn't just about me anymore. It's about giving my son a stable, safe childhood. Alexis chose her path. Now she gets to live with the fallout. Update, 1 month after initial post. It's been a month since the world tilted. Life is a new kind of normal. School runs, work, lawyer calls, documenting everything. The gal, Miss Gabriella, seems competent and fair, which is a relief. Bobby started to open up a bit more about his adventure with Mommy. Bits and pieces. Confirmed she was erratic, crying a lot, telling him confusing things about me. All going into my notes for Miss Gabriella. Alexis is Well, Alexis. The supervised visits are a roller coaster. One week she's quiet and actually plays with Bobby. The next, she's trying to grill him for information about my life or bad-mouthing me to the supervisor. The supervisor's reports are becoming quite the collection. Her entitlement is breathtaking. Miss Leslie actually sent a letter demanding I pay for Alexis's legal fees and provide her with spousal support, claiming her distress was caused by my unwillingness to co-parent equitably before the incident. Mr. Russell sent back a one-liner. We trust your client's demand is made in jest given her conduct. We've heard nothing back on that front. LOL. The dirty tricks are getting more creative. Last week, a completely anonymous email landed in my work inbox, CCing my boss and HR, full of vague accusations about my character and suitability as a father. It reeked of Alexis's particular brand of drama. Luckily, my boss knows the situation. I was upfront when it happened, and HR dismissed it as malicious. But it was a clear attempt to mess with my job. Added to the file. Then there was the wellness check. Police showed up at my door. Anonymous tip about Bobby being neglected. They came in, saw Bobby happily eating cereal and watching cartoons, a clean house, plenty of food. They were polite, almost apologetic, said the call seemed baseless. You don't say? Pretty sure I know who instigated that. Another one for the file. Kayla and Lori are still on their crusade. Kayla even tried to show up at Bobby's preschool, saying she was there to pick him up. School has Alexis and Kayla on a no-contact, no-pickup list, as per the court order and my instructions. Police were called. She got a warning for trespassing. The sheer audacity. The psych eval for Alexis was court-ordered, as part of the ongoing proceedings. She's dragging her feet, of course. Miss Leslie keeps filing motions for delays, citing Alexis's fragile emotional state. Mr. Russell counters that her emotional state is precisely why the eval is urgent. The judge seems to be losing patience with her antics. It's exhausting. Some days I feel like I'm fighting a hydra, but then Bobby will grab my hand and say, "You're the best daddy," and it's like a shot of pure adrenaline. I'm not backing down. Every stunt Alexis pulls, every lie her family tells, just adds another nail to her custody coffin. She thinks she's being clever. She's just proving my point. The file is getting thicker, and my resolve, stronger. Update: 6 months after initial post, it's over. Well, the main battle is 6 months of hell, but we got there. The final custody hearing was last week. It felt like a marathon. Miss Leslie tried, bless her heart, to argue Alexis was a victim, that she'd learned her lesson, that she was now seeking therapy, though still hadn't completed the court-ordered full psych evaluation, claiming scheduling issues. Mr. Russell was masterful. He didn't grandstand, he just laid out the evidence, piece by methodical piece. The initial abduction, the dossier detailing months of instability, the police reports, the supervisor's damning reports from the visits, Alexis's attempts at parental alienation, her emotional instability. The gal's report, which was a godsend. Miss Gabriella recommended sole legal and primary physical custody to me, citing Alexis's unpredictable behavior, lack of insight into her actions, and the potential for emotional harm to Bobby. She also noted my consistent stability and child-focused approach. He presented evidence of the smear campaign, Kayla's stunt at the school, the bogus wellness check, the attempted interference with my job. Each incident painted a clearer picture of Alexis's and her enablers' mindset. When Alexis finally testified, it was a spectacle. She cried, she accused, she contradicted herself. She blamed me, her childhood, stress, anything but her own choices. At one point, she actually yelled at the judge for not understanding what it's like to be a mother pushed to the edge. The judge's face was stone. Her own lawyer, Miss Leslie, looked like she wanted the earth to swallow her. The ruling came down yesterday. Full sole legal and physical custody of Bobby to me. Alexis gets supervised visitation twice a month at the facility for 2 hours. This is contingent on her finally completing the full psychological evaluation and complying with any recommended treatment. If she fails to do so within 90 days, visitation will be suspended until she does. No unsupervised contact until a therapist and the gal agree she is stable and poses no risk, which the judge indicated would be a very long road if ever, given her conduct. Her demands for spousal support and legal fees were of course dismissed with prejudice. The fallout for Alexis has been significant. Her sister Kayla, after the preschool incident and being formally warned by police, has apparently backed off, though I hear she's still sniping from the sidelines to anyone who'll listen. Lori, her mom, sent me a rambling, tearful voicemail that was part apology, part accusation, deleted it. Alexis's attempts to paint herself as a martyr online backfired spectacularly when snippets of the Gal report, which become part of the court record, were somehow leaked in local community groups. No idea how that happened. Ahem. Public opinion, for what it's worth, turned sharply. She had to move out of our old neighborhood. Too many awkward questions, too many people who saw through her act. I heard she's staying with a cousin and struggling to find consistent work due to her erratic behavior becoming more widely known. Natural consequences. I feel quiet. Not elation, not exactly. More like a profound sense of relief. Like I've been carrying a mountain and can finally set it down. Bobby is thriving. He's happy. He's secure. He still asks about his mom sometimes, and I answer honestly, but age-appropriately. Mommy is working on getting better, and when she is, you'll be able to see her more. There's a small, hard part of me that feels a grim satisfaction. Alexis made her bed with calculated cruelty. She sowed chaos and reaped concrete consequences. She tried to use our son as a weapon and found out I wouldn't just roll over. I used the system, legally and methodically, to protect him. She thought she was in control, that her emotions and demands would rule the day. She learned otherwise. It cost me financially, emotionally, mentally, but my son is safe. He's with me. And that's all that matters. We're moving forward, one day at a time. The house is starting to feel less like a battleground and more like a home again. Bobby's laughter is the best sound in the world. She got what she deserved. And we got peace. Finally,